An ambush averted. The years 1920-1921. A country in the throes of arrests, betrayals and murders. Warfare was rife, loss of trust was evident, and men of valour were hard to find. Many were forced to emigrate, to abandon home and family, and travel incognito. Life was difficult in the 20s. Families had to break up, workers travel abroad, and those left at home had to be vigilant and silent. The Tans practically ruled all. They roamed the byways of Ireland, bent on domination and subjugation. My mother, God be with her, often mentioned how she dreaded meeting their lorries on the Loughrea roads. She said they used vile language plus a vile temper. Their daily routine brought them on patrol from Loughrea to Woodford. On their journey, they were loud, bawdy, and personified a total lack of discipline. But their daily patrolling, especially their morning trip outwards, almost proved their vulnerability. The Killinadima branch of the IRA, plus comrades from Clare, almost put an end to their morning surveillance trip to Woodford. A morning ambush was planned on the Loughrea-Woodford road, quite convenient to Aille Cross. The actual site chosen lay some 200 yards east of the cross, where a high rampart and the main stone wall gave ample protection. Then, in the background, mature trees gave considerable cover and isolation. Morning passed. Everything was in readiness. Final orders were given, but still there was no sign of the approaching Black and Tans. In some mysterious way, they must have learned of the well-prepared ambush. So, after many hours, the event was abandoned. The men left their posts, travelled southwards in groups of 3s and 4s, and made their way to the villages of Shohonianta and Lishinaclora. Here, they were welcomed and treated to a hasty meal. Now here's where my story takes a slight diversion. Freddie Walsh, a young local man, happened to be herding his flock on the hill to the north, overlooking the villages just mentioned. The Black and Tans, having suspected trouble near Aille Cross, decided to take an opposite route through Killinadima and possibly attack the position from the rear. Freddie Walsh heard the approaching lorries, and like all of his Inuits, he didn't recognize them first and raced towards the road, just hoping the driver would be a neighbour or a friend. Too late. He realized the noise came from the Black and Tan fleet. So he altered course and raced towards his home. Seeing the man hurriedly retracing his steps, the lorries ground to a halt. With guns at the ready, the Tans chased Freddie. A warning shot rang out. Freddie froze in his tracks. Overtaken, he was forced to kneel. He was totally searched, and an unopened letter was found on him. This was almost his undoing. Explain he must. Had he been out all morning? Why was the letter unopened? The postman must have delivered it long hours ago. Was he a spy for the IRA? Having submitted his name, he was still frog marched to his house. Mrs. Walsh was there to meet her son and the Black and Tans. An intense interrogation followed. Mrs. Walsh had to prove that the captive's identity was in truth Mr. Walsh. After a long confrontation, Mrs. Walsh just walked across the floor, pointed to the Sacred Heart picture showing all the family names. Then, identifying Freddie's name, she said, "There is your proof. His name is Freddie Walsh." Well, silence reigned. The Tans demurred, lowered their guns, and silently left. Here, the story almost ends. We repeat the word almost because from the valley beneath, Walter Walsh and his son and neighbours had been watching the goings-on up on the hills. Walter was a loud-spoken man, and when he observed the Black and Tans chasing and mishandling Freddie, he began to shout in a loud voice, "Oh, look at them! Look at them!" The Tans stared down the valley, paused and paused again. The neighbours appealed for silence. After a few tense moments, silence was restored, and then the Tans returned to their lorries.